Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Factor follow-up segment tonight. As you may know, a Philadelphia doctor, Kermit Gosnell, charged with 5 counts of murder and may receive the death penalty if he is convicted of killing 4 babies and a woman who was undergoing an abortion in his clinic. Jury deliberations in that trial begin this week. But a new undercover report from the pro-life organization Live Action shows that Gosnell is not the only abortion doctor apparently willing to let babies die. In Washington, D.C., there is a doctor named Cesar Santangelo who runs the Washington Surgery Center. Live Action sent a pregnant woman, 24 weeks along, to see the doctor. She told him she had concerns about what would happen if the baby she was carrying was actually birthed.
And your pregnancy is too early to survive usually.
Okay.
It will expire shortly after birth.
But if it did, like what would happen? Like, would I have to take it home or like be responsible for?
I mean, technically, legally we would be obligated to help it, to survive. But it probably wouldn't. It's all in how vigorously you do things to help a fetus survive at this point. Obviously, you're here for a certain procedure, and if your pregnancy were, let's say you went into labor, the membranes ruptured, and you delivered before we got to the termination part of the procedure here, then we would do things, we would not help it.
Okay.
In another abortion clinic, this one in the Bronx, New York, a woman 23 weeks pregnant asked about a viable fetus.
If it did come out in one piece, it's very small.
Okay.
So they would still have to put it in a jar container with solution and send it to the lab.
Like, what if it was like twitching or like something like that? Like
the solution will make it stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not going to be moving around in the jar.
Okay, the solution would make it like.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of the solution.
Okay. So like if it looked like it was like breathing or something like that,
It'll automatically stop. It won't be able to.
it won't be okay. So I'm not even going to see it.
No.
So okay. So I mean, like if that
You
happens,
sleep, they take it out and it goes into our lab where they do the stuff with the jar and cleaning and all that.
okay. So what is the solution? It's just like something like toxic or something.
Yeah.
Here now, the woman who ran those undercover operations, Lila Rose. First of all, if they want to see the entirety, that's at liveaction.org, is that it?
Liveaction.org, and this campaign is our Inhuman investigation.
Okay, so you can go there and you can see the whole thing because we had to edit it for time. What's your main point? What do you want the American people to know?
Sure. Well, the main point of this investigation, Bill, is to show that the inhuman and abusive practices, the brutality of abortion in America, what we've allowed our nation to come to be supporting an industry that is brutalizing children old enough to survive outside the womb, in the womb, and then even with those blurred lines, killing children in these clinics that survive failed abortion attempts when they're struggling for their lives.
Okay, but you know that
the
the pro-choice lobby, Planned Parenthood, NARAL, these people, they're going to say, look, we don't believe that. That's the extreme. These are the irresponsible people. We're responsible, and we would do that. If the baby were birthed, we would never leave it to die. That's what they're going to say.
Well, we have to first call them out and say these groups, NARAL, Planned Parenthood, are arguing against every abortion regulation in the books. They're arguing for abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy, children that are old enough to survive outside the womb. They're arguing even for taxpayers to fund abortion. That's the abortion extremism that we're seeing, and it's led by the White House, sadly, by our own president. Who's
Sure. I mean, but we should say that in New York State, after 24 weeks, you can't have an abortion unless the woman's life is in danger. Okay. In Washington, you can have an abortion anytime, any place. In D.C., they have no restrictions at all. But you're right. The pro-choice lobby doesn't want any restrictions. They want to abort. And then even after the baby is birthed, they don't see it as a baby.
Right.
That, to me, is the story.
Right.
That even after you have a baby in the doctor's arms, they don't see it as a baby.
There's three things that people, I think, see when they come away from these films. I mean, these films are heartbreaking, they're shocking, but three things. First of all, the brutality of abortion. I mean, these procedures are ripping
But everybody
children.
knows that, Lila, do they not?
No, I don't think so, Bill.
Really?
I think if
I mean,
people
you
really
don't think they know that to terminate a fetus in the wound is a destructive act?
We've sanitized the term. We've politicized the term. I think we've forgotten what abortion really is. We fight for the rights of animals and for the environment, but we've forgotten that the womb is meant to be a place of safety and compassion and love. And instead, we've turned it into a place where the most destruction happens in our country. I mean, almost a third of children in our country are killed by abortion. These are the numbers we've allowed. And so this investigation illustrates the inhumanity of it. It also illustrates how easily it leads to infanticide and how that does and can happen. I mean, these clinic workers seem to have corporate knowledge of it, and the abortionist, well, to be honest, you know, Dr. Santangelo says.
But 90% of American OB/GYNs won't perform abortion.
And
that says
I don't blame
a lot.
them.
Right.
And
But this doctor you got in D.C., oh, oof. But, you know, we saw it with Tiller out in Kansas. We're seeing it now in Philadelphia, and this guy here. I want people to know that you are a privately run organization, no government funds, of
No,
course.
we're a nonprofit,
okay.
yeah.
And you survive on donations.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
And your website, again, is liveaction.org. All right, Lila.